Hey YouTube, this is So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is Ryan. I'm going to hit record for the podcast, but this is just a little YouTube intro. We'll talk about what's going on up here in a second. Here we go. I'm just going to hit record. 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is Ryan. This is your Tuesday episode, and we're coming hot, folks. We got a Southern Charm recap, and I got to tell you, we're going to have fun with it, but it's kind of slim pickings over there at the old Southern Charm. I think they're kind of trying to decide what kind of show they are, and it's in this weird phase. I don't know if you guys agree with me at all, which is totally great if you don't, but all you guys, I do want to talk a little bit about what you guys can't see at home, the magic of YouTube, but the not magic of podcasting is that you cannot tell that I have shaved my beard off and now I am mustachioed now. So if that's not a reason to go on over there to the YouTube and subscribe and stuff, I don't know what is. I'm doing weird things with my facial hair now. I mean, what's next? Oh, I can't make a pubic hair joke this early in the show, or can I? I think I can. I'm a professional. I decided to do that. This is kind of when guys do weird things with their facial hair. It's it's a cry for help. First off, I think we all know that, but I feel like it's the equivalent for girls of deciding if they should have bangs or not, because you get in front of the mirror and you're like, I got to take this down. It's looking all white. So, people are like, oh my God. And the thing is, you guys know that have been listening for a while, when I try to dye my beard, it makes my face puff up like the Nutty Professor. And that's a new thing that just happened in the last year. And believe me, I've tried twice now, and both times I've had to go to the urgent care facility, and almost to the point where they were like, dude, we told you that this was going to happen again. Why did you not take our advice? It wasn't even advice. We told you medically you can't do this. And I was like, I just thought I was having a bad day. And I thought this next time I would be more myself and my face could handle the beard dye. And they were like, what is your problem, man? We're in a pandemic, bro. So I got there. I was like, let's trim this monstrosity of white hair and all that crap that's on my face. And then, you get the buzzers going, the clippers. And then you're like, well, what if I did a little whoops? And then you nick yourself a little bit. You're like, oh, can't go back to that. Like that's not going to look normal if I just, have a huge gaping hole in my my beard. And then you're like, well, I'll take it down a little bit. And then all of a sudden you wind up with a mustache. And believe me, I was having tons of fun by myself. I gave myself a handlebar mustache at one point. I looked like one of the Village People. Do people even know who the Village People still are today? Is that just a way too old of a 70s reference? And I wasn't even around for the Village People, but I was an 80s kid, and Village People was still a really big cultural reference. I remember as a kid, people making Village People jokes all the time. Sure, I have a big young audience that's listening right now. So, so yeah, I did that. I am so out of it today. You guys are going to have to, because this is kind of like a podcast about reality shows and pop culture, but it's also about me, and not in like I'm awesome way, but then I'm going to treat you guys sometimes like my journal. But I've been doing this training thing with this trainer, and he's awesome. The guy's really good. I want to impress him and stuff. And I did it 3 times last week. And Friday, I felt like good. Like I was really sore, but I felt good. I was like, okay, you're seeing progress. And so I was back in the gym today, and I was raring to go. And this guy kicked my ass so hard that I almost was like, is it kosher if I cry in front of this man? Like it's either that or just pass out, or people. And the other times I've worked out with him, there have been no people around. This time there were like 3 girls, 2 dudes. And of course I'm sweating like it's like like some kind of flood is happening. It's like Noah's Ark, and I'm collecting animals just sweat is just dripping. And I'm doing basic exercises. They're just dripping. And I'm like, hey, everybody got their rain slickers on. I'm trying to make stupid jokes. And then it got to a point, you guys, where I couldn't even make stupid jokes because I was really just trying to concentrate on staying alive. and you have this dumb Apple Watch that I hit when I start working out, so it'll tell you your heart rate. So all of a sudden, I'm like a medical doctor. I'm always checking my heart rate. I'm like, okay, we went up here, went down there. It is just brutal, you guys. And but I'm trying to make the LA Lakers this year. I really think basketball could be my thing. So I want to get in shape. But yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm not losing the weight that I want to yet, but we're only like a week and a half in. So what I decided to do was shave off 5 pounds of hair off of my face. And that's what you got here with the old, the mustache. You know, the mustache looks cooler when I'm not moving my mouth. Like, look, like YouTube, look at this. Dude, that looks almost handsome. Like, give you one of these. Hey, how are you? Hi, Sutton. How are you? My name's Ryan. Yeah, this is a real mustache. I grew it myself. Thank you so much for noticing. Oh, what's that? Sanjit couldn't grow a mustache? Interesting. Well, anyways, have a great night, Sutton. And then she's like, oh, wait, I'll say, Ron, please. Ron, stay. I want to ask more questions about the mustache. I'll say. And then I come back over. I'm like, oh, this thing. Well, it's funny. I just, on a whim, I had a beard and I decided to shave it. That's the kind of fun conversations I would have with Sutton Strack from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Just to remind you guys, I'm probably going to take off Wednesday like I did last week. I'm going to take it off. It's my mom's surgery on Wednesday, and I'm already just been in a mood and a funk and all of that crap. So I'm going to tell you that up front, but I'll be back on Thursday because I already have an interview lined up that I'm going to be doing tomorrow. But sometimes when you sit down to do these things, it really helps. Like, it helps for me to talk about something else other than the things that I'm worried about. You guys, it's a very basic basic thing that I'm like, everybody does that. It helps me, but just to get up to a mic sometimes is like the hardest thing when you don't feel, you don't feel in the best way. So anyways, let me get into the show here. Yeah, you're like, what have you been doing? That's not the show. This is the show, folks. We've got big news coming out of Orange County, and this is huge. Taylor Armstrong, you guys, from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and most recently Ultimate Girls Trip season 2 on Peacock, has been announced. At first, this is great. They kind of bungled her announcement. I think this is Tamara's fault, because Tamara tweeted like, oh, not only will I be coming back to the OC, but I will be joined by my friend Taylor Armstrong. And it turns out she is not going to be a housewife. She's going to be a friend of. Now, this friend of housewife thing, it's so weird to me. It's like, you guys are all on the same show. Like, it is so dumb that we're like A team and B team. Like, you guys are on all the same silly show that we love dearly, but like the fact that you have classifications and levels within that show, is there like a training team? You're on the C team. You are a friend of, or you are you're a person that exists on this show that nobody is friends with. Like, how many different variations of this can there be? Now, I do want to toot my little horn, my little mustachioed horn, because when we interviewed Taylor Armstrong on this podcast, and I think I'm trying to find the clip so I can brag a little bit, is that we talked about her potentially coming onto OC because she lives in Orange County, you guys. She doesn't live in Beverly Hills anymore. So it was actually kind of like that would make sense. And now she is friends with Tamara. And she even said it on the podcast. This was after she filmed Ultimate Girls Trip, but like months and months before it even came out. And I said, you got to come back to Beverly Hills. And she said, what about Orange County? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do that. So I'm happy that she is coming back. Now, Vulture, you guys know Vulture, that does all the amazing pop culture articles and stuff like that. What was the article that was written? I'm trying to find out. This cracked me up. The way they said, this is Vulture's headline for Taylor Armstrong returning. Woman yelling at a cat becomes first ever housewife to swap franchises. And that's because, of course, this is that picture of Taylor and the cat meme, which is just, that is more popular than potentially even the Housewives series to begin with. And that's Taylor Armstrong. Can you imagine? We talked about that meme in the interview, but could you imagine doing something, getting that upset about something in a scene? That was a very dramatic scene that Taylor was in. And then years later, not like, unbeknownst to you or Bravo or anybody involved with the show, it takes on a life of its own, and it becomes one of, I would say, the top 20 memes of all time. Would you guys say that? I truly think it is an iconic meme. I mean, they sell shirts. Holy shit. So I loved that headline. So, and also this is a double toot of my own horn, you guys, because remember, we just talked about that thing a couple of weeks ago that I tweeted out. I said, Real Housewives franchises should be able to trade housewives to different franchises like sports teams. And that's what they have done here. Now, they didn't do this because of me. This was not my idea or anything like that, but it is exciting because it shows you guys that we are on the right path. We are having the right ideas. We have the right excitement and enthusiasm. They're melding worlds. I mean, we've got Winter House now. We've got Paige coming on over into Southern Charm, which, by the way, and somebody mark where I said this because I'll probably regret it later. Have to tell you, I honestly almost missed Paige DeSorbo this episode of Southern Charm. I was like, this might need a little Paige. And I know you guys are like, what? No, but seriously, I thought this episode was so weirdly bad in places, or just like, not bad. It was just like, it's like, it just exists. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah. I watched that for an hour. Cool. And I watched it even with commercials. And that's really, did you guys ever do that when you watch a show and it doesn't have, you haven't taped it on your DVR, so you can't bloop, 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 you can't fast forward and you have to watch the commercials? I've never felt like more of a bigger loser in my life when that happens, because you're sitting there going like, it gives you 3 minutes to think about what the F you're watching. And you're like, what am I doing? What truly am I doing with my life that I am waiting 3.5 minutes to watch this kitty litter ad before I get back to Southern Charm? But I have to say, I was like, you know what? Maybe Paige isn't a bad thing, but you know what? Use her then. Don't just use her. I think we are in desperate need of something on this show. This show has been on for 8 seasons, Southern Charm. I don't have to tell you guys that, but I will. Wow, this mustache really makes me like a police. I'm like the guy that like, ma'am, you were speeding. You were going 10 over in a 55, and we just need you to go slower. Okay. All right. Be safe out there. All right. 8 years, 8 seasons, and Southern Charm is in a weird kind of spot anyways, because they had a pandemic. They're dealing with the after effects of George Floyd, of tearing down statues, these really, really meaningful discussions that we're having. And a show like Southern Charm and the town in which it is located, has not properly dealt with a lot of those things yet, or they're catching up to sometimes other parts of America. So it's almost this relic, like frozen in time or frozen in glass. And I think, they're saying like, yo, it's not just the good old boys anymore. Like, we don't have Thomas Ravenell on this show. And you could say Thomas Ravenell was really entertaining, and he was, but Thomas Ravenell also, remember, is allegedly an accused rapist. I mean, I don't even think that's alleged. He is an accused rapist. Those are real things. And, we always have to struggle with, and I don't think this is a struggle at all, is that, do you want entertaining, or do you want people to actually pay for the things that they did? And I'm always like, pay for the things that they did. There's so much good TV to go around. But I was talking about this with someone this week, was that, do we think that Southern Charm will last past this season? And really think about that, because you're like, whoa, no, totally. Everybody loves Craig. But think about it. What do we have? What do we have in this show? And I'm not trying to be negative, because I have not fully made up my mind on this yet, nor would it matter if I did. But what are they giving us? Where things aren't really kind of gelling at this point, and I don't really have high hopes for the future. Leva's going to go do her spinoff, which is like a Vanderpump Rules thing, and I don't think she's really done that much on Southern Charm so far anyways. You have Shep. And Shep just broke up with Taylor, which I have an update for that later about the Taylor thing I talked about on Monday, spotting them at a Fish concert. Well, I'll tell you now. That was Dumois. And it turns out Dumois did not a retraction, but said that was not Taylor. It was a girl that looked like Taylor with Shep and Austen, which is even worse, because I was like, oh, maybe they got back together. But no, it turns out Shep might just have a type, and he's already found another Taylor. like a Taylor 2.0, which is just even sadder. And then also on top of that, imagine that poor girl getting dragged to a Fish show. No offense to Fish, I dig them, but imagine if you don't know Fish's music and you get dragged to a Fish show and they're like, hello, my baby, hello, my darling, hello, my ragtime gal, you know, like it would be intense for that girl. And I don't know, even if you were on a Bravo show, if it would really make anything better for that woman. But yeah, we were talking about that yesterday and I was like, that's wild. That I cannot believe they're back together, but they aren't. It was a Taylor lookalike. Oh, we all want to think we're like special butterflies, right? We are all special snowflakes. We're all unique. And then like when I do commercial auditions, you guys, well, maybe now with the mustache is going to be a lot different. But when I go into commercial auditions, it's like you see all these variations of you. Some are better looking than you. Some are uglier than you. Some have more talent than you. Some have less talent than you, but they're all there. Like back in the day when we used to be able to do commercial auditions where you'd actually go drive to the audition, there would be these commercial audition waiting rooms. And there was one of the big ones was you had 200 South La Brea, you guys, if you live in Los Angeles, you know where that is. And then another huge one was over at the casting networks over on off of like Bundy on Ocean Drive in Santa Monica, which was always so far. You hated to get an audition over there because you knew you'd be like 2 hours in traffic. This is okay. We're going to take a little detour here, you guys. If you guys know, I used to be an actor. I'm still an actor. I still audition. Actually, I had a call back for a Jersey Mike's commercial last week. Hope I don't get it because now I got a mustache. Oh no, I just thought about that. What if I do get it? And they're like, why did you shave your beard that you used? Wow. Truly finding new ways to be an idiot every day, folks. I hope you're proud of me like I'm proud of me. So what I would do, like I would be working at the acting studio that I worked at, and you would get like an audition. Like you'd either get it the day before or the day of. So much so that you would start like, I would start just packing different clothing options and leave them in my trunk. So it would be like young dad, or it would be like baseball guy, you know, sports guy. And I would have different outfits in case I got a same day audition because I would never have time to go home. I would have to go straight to the audition from work. But usually you'd get there a day and I would time it for my lunch break, or I would try to build my lunch break around this and any clients, trying to make it sure it was the right time. And you'd get in your car, and I worked on La Brea, which is like, if you got an audition at 200 South La Brea, that was the best because you knew it was going to be like an hour, bam, bam. But Ocean Drive, you knew you were looking at 2 hours at the least. So you'd get in your car, and I would like a big Howard Stern guy. And that's when you'd listen to your Howard Stern. I'd always try to tell myself, make phone calls, network, talk to family. But I wasn't like that. Like I wanted to be always really quiet. Like I still am. Like I can do this, but I don't want to. Anybody that knows me in my real life knows that I do not want to talk on the phone. Like it really, because I'll think about that phone call. Like I'm so weird. It's like, it's very George Costanza of me, or maybe Larry David with a cool mustache. But I would always like, no, that's my time. I want to listen to Stern, just kind of be in my head. And then it would take there, depending on the traffic, you'd get in there, and it was either one of two things. You'd have a room full of people, and you'd have to sign in. You have to sign your name, your agent's name, time in, your SAG number, Screen Actors Guild number, and you would hope that you got there when there wasn't a lot of people. But sometimes you'd get there and it'd be like 50 people. It would be a madhouse. They'd be trying to pair up couples. Like, this is going to be your wife for the commercial. This is going to be your kid for the commercial. And you would just be like, oh my God. And I never had, like, a lot of my actor friends, not well off, but they were able to not have a daytime job. And I had to have a daytime job because I was poor. And so that was like, I never got to enjoy auditioning. My audition experience, and this is not boo-hoo, but it was just how it was, when I'd get there and I'd be like, fuck, gotta get good. I would just be checking my clock the whole time. Like, come on. Because I'd be so worried about what I was missing back at work. If there was clients coming in, if I had left the other people I work with in the lurch, you know, like it was always this worry. So I'd be trying to get in and out as fast as I can. I'd be like, you know, no, I'm next. Or I would try to be trading with people. It was the worst. And then you would go in, you guys, and you would do your little commercial audition, which only takes, I mean, legitimately like 3 to 5 minutes, maybe 5, if they're really working with you, which is what you want. And you do that, and then you get back in your car. This is the saddest life of an actor, you guys. A lot of people are like, oh, acting's so glamorous. No, this is the reality of it, is that you then get in your car. You hopefully didn't park too far away. Hopefully you got a meter. Hopefully you put money in the meter and not forgot, because I would do that a lot of the time, and then have a ticket to come back out to. You would get in the car, and you'd hit your ways to see how long it took to get back. And it would always be double the time going that way back to the job. And it was just the worst. You'd be having the most intense car ride back, trying to find new ways to get around Los Angeles. It's like that Saturday Night Live sketch. Like, you would take the 405 to the 101 to cut over Laurel, and you'd go through the hills. And there was all these like trying to find ways, and like everything, like if there was an accident, it would fuck you even more. And that, to me, is one of the truest experiences of being an actor, is that kind of experience. Now, once COVID and the pandemic happened, everything switched to online for the most part. I think I've only been through to a handful of live auditions since COVID, and probably those were illegal. So, but now they do it like Zoom. I get to sit, I have a curtain right here that's a solid color, or I'll be able to put myself on tape, and I'll go to a buddy's house and they have like a background I can use. But for that, then you see all of your, instead of a waiting room, it's a virtual waiting room. And you're like, okay, that's cool. But you guys, it's not cool, because you're just looking at 20 faces on your screen, like a Zoom screen, waiting to go into the quote unquote audition room. So you're sitting there. Imagine like it's me. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I'm just sitting here right here. And so you're like, you're 20 faces seeing everything that you're doing. So you'll like be down on your phone, like, oh, da, 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 da. Ooh, do, 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 do. And I would just be trying to look down and not look at all the other eyes, because all the other eyes, once you make eye contact, they look kind of like you. So it looks like you're looking into a funhouse mirror. And you'd be like, hey, you try to make some small talk, and that doesn't usually go well over Zoom. And then you wait to get paired up, and then they take you into another virtual waiting room. Why did we even start talking about this, you guys? Like, you guys, I need somebody here to keep me on task, you guys. I think it was something about that we're all getting older, maybe, that we're all like Southern charm. Is that what it's about? I don't know. God, this mustache has really changed me. Yeah, no, interesting. Let me cut right here and see what I was actually talking about. Professional as always. Yes, I found out what we were talking about. We were talking about that Taylor, there's a Taylor 2.0, and then that led me to a story about acting. Okay, so Taylor Armstrong is coming back as a friend of. Now, what do we think about this? Now, this is exciting on its face, and I really do like Taylor. I will say, if you listen to any of the Ultimate Girls Trip recaps I did over on the Patreon, which, hi, baddies, we're doing a live Patreon on Wednesday, you guys. So join us for that. If you're a Patreon member, we'll be doing that a live, where you get to see the mustache up close and personal, and you can tell me to do weird things with the mustache. It's going to be a load of fun. Also, I did a 2-hour Q&A episode this weekend, which actually went into so many cool directions. And I did a baddie spotlight where I get to talk to one of the Patreon members. And this week it was our friend Rose Martinez, and she was excellent. So a lot of things happening over there on the Patreon if you need extra content. But so Taylor is coming back, but Ultimate Girls Trip, I thought her and Tamra, and this, I don't mean this mean, but Taylor had that one really exciting moment where she really launched into Brandy finally. But I thought her and Tamra, to a degree, were two of the less exciting additions of that house. And I don't mean of all time, I just mean of that scenario, because think about it, you had Dorinda, you had Jill, you had Brandy, you had Eva, you had my favorite Phaedra. I mean, you had Vicky. How, like, that's a hard group of girls to compete with. So now we know that Taylor will be in there as Tamra's friend. So that gives Tamra a little something to lean on, because we don't know what is going to be cut fitness, her and Eddie. And, I'm very curious what her storyline is going to be, but I'm all for it. I mean, but are we now in the age, and we'll only see this once we see other franchises being cast, are they going to start swapping? Are we going to start seeing other ladies in other franchises? Hell, I do got to tell you though, I almost feel a little bad for Vicky Gunvalson. Because if you're going to bring Tamra and you're going to bring, I mean, you're bringing people that aren't even initially on your show, but she was on Beverly Hills, Taylor, then why not bring Vicky? Now I'm kind of like, I wasn't even for it at first, but now like, if you're going to go this far, why not go all the way? Like, why not go all the way at this point? Like, fuck it. Let's see if it sticks. Because we've seen cast members come back to these shows before, and we've seen when they've worked and we've seen when they've not worked at all. And so we don't know how this is going to be. Just because some people are excited about Tamara coming back, that's awesome. But remember, that doesn't guarantee that it's going to be amazing. Remember how Orange County started last season with Heather Dubrow? And I got to tell you, those first couple of episodes, it was kind of exciting because I was like, oh, there's a lot of possibilities here. We had Heather freaking out at the house of like, cameras down. And we had the $50,000 worth of sushi that didn't get eaten. Very exciting. And then it kind of like petered off with little moments. It is funny that Emily and Gina are still there. They really, truly just dodge bullets, even though I'm hearing, I don't know what is rumor and what is not. It's like the Leah McSweeney elephant dung story. I'm hearing that Gina might be a friend of, but I don't know that for sure. But that is something that I read a couple places today. So you never know with those rumors. And my thing with that always is probably like yours is, listen, I'll find out when I see it. Like, I'm good. There's enough stuff to watch and talk shit about that I do not like, man, if Gina's there, fine. If Gina's not there, fine. Okay. I'll see it on the show. But I will say, if both of those ladies are back and something big doesn't happen, I think one of them would be on the chopping block. I mean, this is why I would be so excited. This is why I want a reality show of the reality show. I want a reality show of the production meetings for these shows. I want executive producers sitting around and going, okay, Gina, what do we hope from Gina? Isn't he done a pre-interview with Gina? What's going on in her life? Okay, yeah, she's thinking about adding on to her little condo. Okay, that's cool. So we could get a little scene with that. I want to see those conversations. I want to see how deep we think these things out if you're working behind the scenes. My hope is that these are so well thought out and it's just brilliant people working together. But my fear is that us, the audience, is putting in way more mental work than the people behind the scenes. Because have you ever met like a real Bravo fan? Not even a reality show, but a Bravo fan. We've written fan fiction for these people. We're like, it could go this way or it could go back this way. And what would be exciting is if then she cheated with Mauricio and then PK found out. We go there in our heads. And sometimes I wonder if the producers probably have to keep things real, obviously not fake. Because in my fan fiction, they can fly. They're like the X-Men. Yeah, and then Vicky all of a sudden started shooting lasers out of her vagina. It was insane. Nobody saw it. And then Don Gunvalson came back and he was like, I have a shield to protect from Vicky's vagina lasers. I have a very special shield. Let me change into my superhero flip-flops and get my Corona Light, and then we're gonna go get Vicky and take down this vagina laser ASAP. I don't know. I love that the audience really does put that thought in there. And I just want to know, don't you ever do that? Don't you ever want to compete at that level of just see we know these shows like the back of our hands. Wouldn't you love to go toe to toe with one of these producers in some kind of contest? In some kind of trivia contest about their own show. And most likely they would beat you, right? But then there's a slim chance that maybe not. Maybe we know more than production. That's the kind of thing that gets people in trouble, you guys, what I just said. Okay, so Taylor will be back. That's exciting. And who knows, maybe there'll be more surprises. I do feel bad for Vicky. I don't want anybody in life to feel left out. I know how much it hurts me when I feel left out. And I can be upset at Vicky, or, I can have disagreements with how she's handled certain situations, but I don't want anybody to be hurt. If you let I think Vicky is better TV nuts to bolts than Tamara is. I just do. I think, but it is good that Vicky's not coming back. So it gives Tamara room to kind of be her own person. Cause you saw on Girls Trip, Tamara was kind of just holding hands with Vicky and making sure she was like showing up to things and getting up and like, are you ready to whoop it up, Vic? Are you ready to whoop it up? I'm like, yeah. My favorite line, one of my favorite lines in Girls Trip, when it was in Vicky told the other ladies that if I die right now, you tell people that I died sad. Like, I'm like, fuck yeah, man. That is my kind of person, because that's like how I want to go. I want to go out making other people feel bad, where they're like, I'm going to feel bad about this for a while. He was not doing well and he made it known. It'll be like my gym instructor. He's like, he was sweating a great deal and you could tell he was sad. You could tell he was sad. He was here and he just kept asking to leave. Okay, so that's over there in Orange County. Big news. They started our Monday off right. Now, this is interesting. Real Housewives of Miami, we still really haven't given this show the praise that it should get. They rebooted this for Peacock, and I think they did excellent at it. This last season, I thought, was just really solid housewife stuff, and I can't wait to see how they build on this. But one of the main stories you're going to see is the dissolution of the relationship between Lenny Hochstein and his, I guess, now ex-wife, or about to be ex-wife, Lisa Hochstein, because remember, she was staying in the house on was it like Turtle Island? Is it Turtle? Is it Tiger Island? It's something island, something animal island. But she was staying in there, even though the prenup said that she had to get out, but she's also, I think, taking care of the kids. So Lenny has a new girlfriend. And there's been a couple interesting developments in this story just in this last week. So Daily Mail, this was great. Daily Mail says, I am not a homewrecker. Lenny Hochstein's girlfriend, Katharina Mazeppa, has filed a restraining order against his estranged wife, Lisa, after alleged online harassment. Now, huge, amazing title, right? Like, love when Daily Mail goes there like that. And my first thought is, let's say it all together. There better have been cameras there, right? There better have been cameras there. And then me, actually, as a person who has, humanity and love in his heart in some days, says, wait a sec. These are real people. This sounds horrible. Like, you're getting a restraining order against Lisa. How does that work with the kids and all of this stuff? And those poor kids, what are they dealing with? Also, I do got to say, though, Lisa is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful woman. You got to stop with the Facetune or whatever you're doing. And by the way, Facetune, the actual app, follows me now on Instagram and Twitter. And then, did I tell you guys this? Facetune, the app, DM'd me because I have the Facetune Bureau of Investigation, and Facetune, the app, DM'd me and said, we need to talk. And so I thank Facetune, the app. I don't even know who runs it, but we've been DMing back and forth. I think they're coming on the show and we'll do like our favorite Housewives Facetune moments. But when Facetune messages you, that's a big one. Like, I'm a big fan of not the app itself, but just of the misuse of how do you tell somebody that, by the way, of like, love your product, not for what it does, but just because I really find it horrible and what it does to people is just so silly. But Lisa Hochstein, you guys, just sometimes does too much, and she's already insanely gorgeous. You don't need to go that hard. Sometimes I feel the same way about Meredith Marks, of like, why are you going this hard? You don't need to do this. But it also shows you that we all have like a little bit of that, a little bit of that in us, is we do not see ourselves clearly. Meredith is going, oh, if I look like a China doll, that actually, that looks pretty good, and it's like, no, Meredith, no, it doesn't. It does. You don't look real anymore. And I've even seen girls make fun of the Facetune app and then literally turn around and do some of the most horrific face tuning I've ever seen. And that's when you're like, something is off. Did they think they were going to slip it by us? Because it's always egregious. It's never subtle. Like, there's never like a subtle Facetune. And if there is, they're killing it. They're doing it the right way. But it's always something where you're like, oh my God, the size of your head is like shrunk by like a third. You have literally just the smooth, your skin looks like a baby's butt. It's too much. Anyways, back to this very important story. So Lenny's new girlfriend, and remember, Lenny is the boob doctor to the stars in Miami, like really well respected in boobs, which is like, that was kind of like, if I could do it all again, I think if I was a kid, that's what I would have loved to have been Ryan Bailey, well respected in the boob industry. Maybe I am well respected in the boob industry now that I think about it. Okay, so The media figure also gave a statement to express her feelings regarding the injunction. So Lisa gave her thoughts as well as this happening. She alleges that her partner's estranged wife, so Lisa, created several Finsta accounts. Remember, that's fake accounts that people make to spy on people, to disparage her online. The media figure issued a statement to express that she was dismayed by the actions of her partner's estranged spouse. It was previously confirmed that Lenny and Lisa had decided to go their separate ways this past May. The former pair's split was prompted when Lenny and Katharina were interrupted by Lisa while partying at a club in Miami this past May. That's, you don't want to go out like that where you get literally caught. So they're saying that Lisa is creating fake accounts and saying really nasty things on these Finsta accounts. I would, there are a couple ways you can kind of find out who it is, but at the same time, I know these Bravo audiences like the back of my new mustache, and they can be pretty intense and mean. So I sometimes think like this might not even be Lisa. This is probably just the Bravo audiences, because listen, we stand up for our housewives. Sometimes we do it way too much, and I do not approve of that kind of behavior at all. But I got to tell you, oh my God, you guys, Rinna Beauty, Lisa announced, I woke up to this, that on Amazon, they are doing, they're selling Rinna Beauty now on Amazon. So I immediately was like, I have to go look at the reviews on this thing. Like, let's see what the people are saying. And they locked the reviews already, you guys, because people were leaving bad reviews, and they said it was suspicious. Because I swear to God, I wasn't going to leave a bad review. I wasn't. But if I did leave a review, I would have said something about like, oh, this lipstick is great, when you rat your friend out about hooking up with another woman, even though they said they had a family, and to please stop doing it. Like, you know what it's like? I would have said a review like that, but I always had really good, really solid product, 5-star. But I would have written that underneath it. So they had locked the reviews. I don't know how long for, but only verified purchasers. And I don't want to buy the shit just so I can do a little joke, even though now that I'm talking about it out loud, it's like I could get that Beyonce throw rug, or I could get some Rinna Beauty, and I can give it to Maritza, Sandra, some like my friends. I'm not going to use it personally. Not that I don't think I will. Okay, anywho, back to this story. She says, I've chosen not to respond back with threatening or distasteful messages to Lisa Hochstein, but rather deal with this in a professional and proper manner, which is through the judicial system, Mazeppa says, which this sounds like a lawyer sentence, right? Like there's no way she's like, let me put pen to paper and I'm going to say this about our judicial system. Mazeppa then expressed that she wanted to reveal what she saw as the reality of the situation that had been created by Lisa's actions. Like, this is so weird, because it's like, dude, say what you want. Say this was a new relationship after this marriage busted up, but it probably wasn't, right? It just probably wasn't. People cheat. It sucks. Yeah, we do look down on those people, and deservedly so. You'll get over it. And if you guys love each other, then you'll stand the test of time and prove all of us wrong. She says, I am hopeful, though, through this filing to allow the public to know the real truth. Wow, this is like O.J. Simpson, which is that I was not involved with Lenny until after Lisa and him had separated. It is only after Lenny's separation that we began dating and having a relationship, which is always just a fun conversation to imagine. Do you imagine she's like, Lenny, I need proof. Are you guys done or not? I need proof before I let you touch my buttocks. She added, I am not a homewrecker. I am not someone who's destroying a family, and I am not someone acting in an inappropriate manner, as is being stated publicly by Lisa. Mazeppa then noted that this filing will prove that, and the injunctive relief for her that has already been granted by a judge will hopefully stop the online bullying, stalking, harassing, and threatening behavior from Lisa. The media figure then wrote that she was dismayed by the actions of her partner's estranged. Yeah, Daily Mail. Sometimes you'll be reading an article and then you catch a misspelling in it, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm already ashamed about reading this." And now there's like a misspelling, and then sometimes they'll repeat like the whole paragraph, and you're like, "Oh, dude, oh, what am I doing with that?" It's like watching commercials during Southern Charm. She says it's unfortunate that Lisa has taken the low road to make such false allegations, which presumably are being made to gain an advantage over Lenny in the divorce proceedings, which is inappropriate. Mazeppa concluded by writing, I look forward to just focusing on protecting my physical and emotional well-being, my reputation, my business relationships, and living a peaceful life with my boyfriend. I love that she's willing to stick it out. Most girls would be like, yo, this is too much. But he is the boob king of Miami. So she's like, how am I going to do better than am I going to go to the vagina king of Miami? How are you going to do better than the boob king of Miami? Lisa and Lenny had been married for a total of 13 years before they chose to end their marriage. So this is interesting, like an actual, this was a restraining order. This is a restraining order. Now, Lisa, this is great. So this happened a couple days ago. Now, Lisa is in page 6 today because she wanted to get her little shot off because it's like, yo, I'm going to take you guys down. She says Lisa Hochstein accuses Lenny of trying to financially strangle her in divorce. Financially strangling. Ooh, that is erotic. The Real Housewives of Miami star filed new documents exclusively obtained by Page Six in her divorce from the self-proclaimed boob god. Sorry, I said boob king, boob god. Boob god is even more intense because you're then saying you're literally a god. Like then when you go to heaven, if you get to go to heaven, God's like, what was that whole thing with you calling yourself boob god? Like, I created everybody? Like, what are you even talking? He's like, no, it was like, I was trying to be funny and cute. Well, it's not funny, God's going to say. That's not funny. I already had a huge talking with the Kardashians and all the shit they pulled, but this is not funny, Lenny. She alleges in these papers that he retaliated by restricting her access to funds when she does not acquiesce to each and every one of his demands. Wow, this feels like a ransom. Like Lisa 40 explains that the plastic surgeon 56 provided her with a joint credit card throughout their marriage to pay for her personal expenses for the household and expenses for the party's children. But the situation has changed since he has begun dating 26-year-old Katerina Mazeppa. That is such a huge age difference, you guys. I try not to listen, I'm old. But 56, that's 30-year difference. What do you think they talk about? Do you think they talk about the village people? Do you think so it says, while the husband is presently traveling on a no expense spared vacation with his presumed girlfriend to Europe, he has left his wife and children without cash, access to funds, and less than $3,000 of available credit on the joint credit card. Lisa, Lisa, I have to imagine you have decent credit. Open your own credit cards and then just charge Lenny for that shit later. The Bravo turned Peacock personality believes Lenny refuses to maintain the status quo because she expressed serious reservations about his request to host, produce, and throw a lavish Halloween party with his girlfriend at the marital home for 800 to 1,000 people with the children present. That's a big, imagine not getting invited to that. Imagine you're in Miami and you're like the who's who and you get left off 1,000-person party. You're like, there's 1,000 fucking people on the guest list and I didn't even get to be one of those people. Like that just sounds like, Lenny, you're doing that obviously to impress your new girl? Because why would you ever want to throw 1,000-person party? That just sounds horrible. Lisa feels her concerns have fallen on deaf ears and claims she is being put in financial peril. She also states that when she confronts Lenny, he gets upset and verbally confronts her with demeaning comments. Sounds like Lenny. So this is going to be going back and forth. And I imagine we will see a lot of this play out on Real Housewives of Miami. Lisa told Page Six in response to what we just talked about in regards to the filing against Lisa, I've got no time for Katarina's childish antics and accusations. They are false and just show her true colors and motives. I have my children to focus on, and I'm trying to keep them away from her and this negativity. None of these allegations are true. I need more credit limit. Wow. She didn't do the credit limit line, but I don't know. So that is that. Also, before we get into the Southern Charm here recap here in one sec, I like talking to you guys. I hope you like hearing this, because this was nice. This cheered me up. I was really not wanting to do this. And this is what happens. I turn it on and we're already 45 minutes in. I haven't even touched the Southern Charm recap. It's madness, I tell you, madness. Is that Love Island, UK, which I've been talking about a lot on the show, but I'm not giving away spoilers. Their season finale was today, and I finally got to watch it this afternoon. And I'm happy with the results. I'm not going to give them away. If you're watching, you're 2 weeks behind on Hulu, but I would say be careful of going on social media and ruining it for yourself. There's a lot of things that happen in these next 2 weeks And if you're not going to get the VPN, I did not get the VPN either. I just magically saw it. And that's how we're going to go with that. That is what's happening. Everything is illegal. Everything is legal and above board. But I got to watch it, and I'm glad to be free of that show, even though I'm already excited for next season. So I'm telling you guys, next season, we're going to go deep on Love Island. So I'm just warning you right off the bat. So get into it, or we'll get into it together next season. Okay. I'm going to take a quick little commercial break potentially, and then we'll come back and we'll do a little bop-a-doo, bop-a-dee-ee-ee. Bop-a-doo, bop-a-dee-ee-ee. It's easy as dude, a banger of a song. I cannot say enough good things each week about that song. In fact, even when Southern Charm isn't good, that song elevates the show to a place where I'm like, well, I gotta hear this song here and there. And it's pretty fun, you know? So this episode, you guys, is episode number 6. Oh my God, we're only 6 episodes in. But you know what? Southern Charm usually does shortened seasons. Don't they usually do like 14 episode seasons? So we'll see. This one is called Shuckers and Sinners. And I'm like, what? That's a weird title. And I did my research, folks, and shuckers means oyster shucking. And it's when you take an oyster and you take this little knife thing and you can slice your hand really easily, or you can put it in the oyster and shuck it. And that's opening the oyster. And there's an oyster party. So that's what, and then sinners. It's like, who's the sinner? Like, I mean, who are they saying is the sinner in there? I didn't get the sinner. Like, are we all, I mean, we're all sinners, I guess. But anyways, so remember, they have put Naomie in charge of doing the voiceover for the preview, you know, for the beginning. And so it's like, as Venita learned to play nice with others, and we saw, you know, we see all the clips from the previous 6 episodes, and Venita was at her birthday party, the joint birthday party with Madison, which was kind of horrible because she did not know that Madison invited Kathryn and Austen's new girl. So Olivia, sorry, I was like blanking on the name. Sometimes it's like it takes me a few seasons to really know their names. But okay, this is what I was saying earlier in the show, guys. Do you really think, is Olivia the kind of character that's going to be around forever? There was that sweet spot of Southern Charm where I thought the women were going to like carry the show, and they had that really cool hairdresser lady that I loved, and it was all the, you know, and it just kind of fell apart, and they're trying to rebuild it, and I want them to get there, but right now it feels like it's gonna be a long season. So Venita learned to play nice with others. Craig got schooled on how to be Paige's boyfriend, and we see that scene where Craig's like, come on, I can't go out with my ex who I just slept with 2 times. We only touch penis and vagina. Which, by the way, Paige would have loved if you had done a follow-up question of, Craig, did you wear protection? Craig, did you wear protection? Would love to know the answer to that. So finally, Paige woke up and was like, yeah, I don't think it's cool if you actually just go out with Naomie by herself. And Craig's like, I guess I can see your point, but it's weird for me. And then, of course, they intersperse the song in what we've just seen of got more honey than a honeybee. And then the voiceover continues. Madison celebrated the fast track to wedded bliss. Austen told Olive he wanted to pump the brakes, which that's not necessarily true. Austen didn't say he wanted to pump the brakes. Austen just said, I want to take things slow. I mean, I guess that's pumping a light brake, but it wasn't like they were on a collision course of like speediness to begin with. That was the whole joke about their relationship, is that they had never gone out solo before last week's episode. And then the voiceover continues, and then he and the boys went to Charlotte to pack up Austen's childhood home. And then we end the previews, the stuff that we already seen with that golf game between Craig and Austen, where they were trying to get that text message together to send to Olivia. And he's like, okay, good. I told her my feelings. Now we can go to Charlotte. And Craig's like, yeah, tell her your feelings and then run. And then we see him from last week's episode, the last scene where they're all doing shots. The voiceover says, meanwhile, trouble was brewing back in Charleston. And we see that really horrible conversation that we got to hear half of with Shep calling Taylor and going, are you fucking crazy, bro? Are you crazy, Taylor? Which I don't like. I'm obviously not a woman yet. And but that's something that I've always been told, you don't call women crazy. Like, that's such a weird, like, are you fucking crazy? He's got scandals that pass the time. And then we get a little music. And then the voiceover goes, the past can come back to haunt you. And then we have Craig talking to Austen at the very last scene of the episode last week of like, you know shit, bro. And I know shit, bro. Everyone knows shit. But Taylor, these landmines are gonna explode. Remember, he like did that whole bit where he was like, the thing that Taylor doesn't know is this campfire is more than a campfire. There's a accelerant and there's grenades, and then somebody just put matches all around it. There's some illegal fireworks as well. All it takes is one match to light the fuse. So we open up in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're at Ivy's, which is the hotel that the boys are staying at. We are the next morning. Craig's brushing his teeth. We see his cute little dad bod. Austin's putting on a t-shirt. He calls Craig and he's like, I'm up, man. How you feeling? And he's like, Craig's like, I'd say that was a successful night in Charlotte. And then they high five through the phone. And we see a flashback of last night. They were playing like a basketball, like a arcade basketball game. They were doing shots. We saw Shep jumping up and down, and Craig goes, it was a lot of fun. And then Austin's like, honestly, bro, I'm still drunk. I'm going to call the valet to get the car. Hey, man, real quick, if you still are drunk, how about you don't even drive? Wouldn't that be wild? I know I'm just spitballing here, but if you just admitted on camera you're drunk still, maybe let Jesus take the wheel, right? Like, come on, please. We cut to Shep in bed, and he's like shirtless, and he's like poking his fat, and he's like, I'm fat. And he's not fat. Like, I'm like it pisses me off when he's like has a little flab. Like, I'd kill to have that little flab. Not, come on, man. And he's laughing. He's like, he's rubbing his nipples. And he calls Taylor, and it goes straight to voicemail. And it says, the mailbox is full. And Taylor calls him right back. She's like, hey. And then Shep's like, your mailbox is full. That's really embarrassing. Like, immediately, they just had that fight last night, kind of. And then he immediately goes, you're a dummy. Why do you have a fucking full mailbox, idiot? And she's like, I don't know how to get it unfull. And he's like, you need to minimize your inbox. And he's like, well, anywho, I'm so lazy, but I'm probably going to get up. And she's like, did you have fun last night? And he's like, yeah, girls everywhere, Taylor. So many girls. She's like, good. I'm glad. He's like, I'm kidding, you nut. You fucking kook. You insane person. I mean, he's like teasing, but it's all kind of negative things. I'm kidding, you nut. But hey, about to get the day started. We're going to raid Austin's house, his parents' house, for furniture. And she goes, get a new couch. He's like, it's for Austin. I'm not going to raid it for myself. We're going to go there and have lunch. And then I'm going to take my nieces out. Life is good. And she goes, great. And he goes, well, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to get going. And he gets up. We cut to Charlotte. The boys are in the Suburban. Craig's pulling out not of a girl, of like the parking structure. So actually Craig is driving. So Austin, it's fine that he's still drunk. And he goes, hell, the girls in the car behind us are cute. And Shep's like, whoa. You're in a relationship, dude. I thought we couldn't look at other girls. And then this is one of my favorite lines of the entire episode. Craig was like, Paige and I appreciate hot people together. Which then I was like, oh my God, are they like that? We're looking for a third couple of like, we spotted you from across the bar. My girlfriend Paige thinks you're very attractive. We were looking for a third tonight. We're very gentle and I wear cologne. Hi, my name's Craig Conover. Do you like pillows? Because I'd like to put one right around your tummy area. Well, sorry. So anyways, then Austin starts talking about his parents bought this house in 1996 when he was 8. And then he's like, was I 8? And then he does like math and it feels like 5 minutes. And then he's like, oh no, I was 9. And, so I like, we're going to do a trip down the old memory lane episode. And then Shep goes, is your mom getting egg salad? Cause I don't like egg salad, Shep says. And then they get into this conversation about like, Shep's like, do you call your dad by his first name? I call my dad by his first name. I don't fucking call my dad by his first name. Bill Bailey? I don't know. I like dad. Like, that's like, I feel so weird calling my dad Bill. Like, Bill, it's your son, Ryan. Hi, Bill. Maybe I could do it now that I have a mustache. Bill, it's your son, Ryan. I have a mustache now. Hi, Bill. Because my dad has a mustache. My dad had a mustache his whole life. And I do remember when he shaved it off, like the 2 times in my life, it was really, it was traumatizing. I thought there was a stranger in the house. And I was like, why is he sleeping with my mom? And this went on for like a month. And then finally he started growing back. I was like, Dad, is that you? Dad? It's Ryan, your son. It was such a confusing time to grow up. So they call Austin's mom about the egg salad. And Shep's like, hey, Wendy, it's Shep. Yeah, hi. And Austin's like, the boys and myself are wondering what you have for lunch. And she's like, well, I have a really nice ham. Oh, moms love to say that they have a really nice ham. Like moms, by the way, my mom legitimately had a very nice ham a couple of weeks ago when I saw we have a very nice ham and some Swiss cheese. And I made some homemade egg salad. And Shep's like, fuck. In a talking head, Shep's like, I can't tell you what my problem with egg salad is. It's like slimy and cold and it smells. I think it's the smell. And then in my head, I was like, oh my God, he's treating Taylor like egg salad. Taylor is all of a sudden egg salad to Shep. And then they get off the phone. Austin's like, I love you. And Shep's like, I never say I love you. Like Shep can't even commit to his parents saying I love you on the phone. Craig goes, I say love you bye every time. I like men talking about men things like this. I say I love you every time. I love you. Bye. Like, and I'll throw it out, like, because my sister gets super uncomfortable with it. So I like, love you. And like, I know she usually won't return it, which is fine. But sometimes do you ever just like wait, like uncomfortable? Like I'll hang up usually immediately with shit like that. But sometimes every once in a while, just wait. She go, I love you. And then just stay on the phone. Go, yep, still here. Still here after I said I love you. Still here. So Shep goes, yeah, man, I can't commit to that. I love you with my mom. I don't know. Craig goes, my jaw hurts from laughing. And I'm like, sure, Craig, your jaw hurts from laughing in quotation marks, not from anything we have done the night before. It is from the laughing. Austin is now telling more stories about his house. He's like, they're going around the neighborhood. He's like, oh, I TP'd that dude's house and I had to go clean it up. And he's like, oh, wow. I learned how to rollerblade in this cul-de-sac. And like over here, I did a circle jerk with a bunch of boys in the backyard and we touched each other's peckers. And Austin's like, I was a good rollerblader. And Shep goes, there's no such thing. They go into the house. We see Austin's dad and mom. They seem like really nice people. And she has all the food out like your mom does. If you're lucky enough to have that, my mom will do that. And Craig goes, you got some hungry boys coming in, which is usually the start of a lot of pornography movies that I've heard of. You got some hungry boys coming in. Yeah. And Shep says, hey, I'm usually not an egg salad person, Wendy, but I hear it's famous egg salad. Shep can always like really charm people, I think. Craig's like, I want to get a turkey sandwich. And then the mom's like, yeah, and then you can just jazz it up. Moms love saying jazz it up to things. Like, oh yeah, just gussy it up, jazz it up. Austin, she's like, Austin, look what I found, this whole box of stuff. And we see this just horrific photo of a young Austin in a baseball outfit. And Austin's like, we've been at this house for 25 years. In a talking head, Austin says, it's easy to think about all the good things that happened in my childhood home, but there have definitely been some dark times that happened in this house. Now, if you guys remember this, he told this story years ago on the show, but he had an older sister named Kyle that passed away in a place called Shimmy Rock, and she kind of fell off the side. And you can't, it's got to be one of the most horrific things that you could ever experience, not only as a brother, but if that is, your daughter, it just breaks your heart, and that is the one thing where I'm like, oh man, like, I'm just so happy that they seem happy. And, like I do not commiserate because I've not been through that, but I empathize with what that responsibility must have been like for Austin. And guys don't sometimes really handle things emotionally well. and it's hard to communicate. And it must have been a really scary time for Austen after that happened. I don't think it was scary enough for him to treat the girls in Summer House the way they did, but it really did kind of, I was like, oh man, that just sucks. So we see Austin's pics with Katie, his younger sister, but he goes, the beautiful thing about this house that Katie was born and there was new life being brought into this home for the first time. My family had time to heal together. And I think that's such a beautiful thought. That is immediately ruined by Austen's poetry notebook, his childhood poetry notebook, which we bring out, and Shep's reading and he's like, pistachio, notebook, green, yellow, in the snow, smelly cheese. So it's like, I mean, it's full like beat poet, like, no, it's just silly kid poems. But I'm telling you guys, this Austen poetry book, I would love to reach out and get a copy. Like I would, even for my reality show museum, like I would love to even just take the initial copy, make photocopies of it and sell it. I think we could make a mint, and or I could just have the original and hold on to that. There's a poem about a sister. He goes, Katie is funny as can be, sly as a crocodile. But when we finally catch her, she gives a sweet, innocent smile. That's actually a decent poem, but he did write that last year, he said. Shep asks to have, he's like, can I have this book? And we get a new scene where now over at Venita's house back in Charleston, we see Venita's dog, Charles, and she's like, oh, you want some treats, Charles? She's making some coffee out of a pod. And she's like, Charles, sit. Why aren't you listening? And throws a dog toy. And I'm like, okay, like, what are we doing here, man? Like, let's move it along. She calls Olivia. And she's like, hey, how you doing? Good. How are you? Well, I'm sitting outside with Charles, playing fetch, having coffee. I'm like, yeah, we know. We've seen every piece of this. Like, I'm sorry that Olivia didn't know, but why did we need to see it? And we're going to hear about it all over again. Olivia's like, nice. And Venita's like, so I think you and I had a rocky start. And we flashed back to Olivia going, yeah, you called me, I think, like, or you all of a sudden said racist, and I'm not going to stick around for that. That's more than a rocky start, by the way. I did talk to some people last week because I really didn't think I had a language to, I was like, oh, this is, I don't know. I've thought more about this and I've talked to a couple of people about this. It really put Venita in a very bad position. And I think I said this on last week's episode, but if that really did happen where Madison didn't tell her at her own birthday party that these two people that she were uncomfortable with were coming, that's just fucked up. But it's fucked up on Madison's part. And it's just a really weird position to put a new cast member in of like, we're going to put you, the African-American cast member, and make you deal with all of this. I just think it's like really sloppy and unfair to Venita, because we then don't really get to know her because now she's pegged as the person that has to teach us something. And she doesn't want to do that. She's a fucking influencer, you know? So Venita's like, honestly, I would have rather have been not invited than go somewhere that I didn't feel wanted. And Venita's like, well, sorry you felt that way. We do need to talk though. And like, how should we do it? We should, and Lily's like, yeah, we do happy hour somewhere. And then she's like, wait a minute, Madison's giving me a call, Venita says, and clicks over like, hey, how you doing? Madison says, and she's like, I'm just on the phone with Olivia, one sec. Then we go back to Olivia. And she's like, well, and Olivia's like, well, I'm sure you just heard from Madison, but my family is throwing an oyster party where everybody's going to eat oysters. And everyone is invited, but I'm unfortunately not going to invite you. And Venita is like, okay, not invited. Got it. And a talking head, she's like, I've never had to deal with something so childish before. I understand if I'm at a parent's house, I'm going to keep it cool. I'm not going to cause a problem. I mean, let's handle this later. She's not even giving me the opportunity here. And Venita's like, well, okay, well, hope you have a good party. We'll chat soon. And then she calls Madison back. And she's like, damn, I think I've never been not invited to something in my life. And I'm like, Venita, I've been not invited to a lot of things. I could walk you through this in a jiffy. We could have this solved real quick. I could be like, just start reading just books. Just start reading books alone in your bedroom. And then eventually you'll fall in love with reality shows and have a podcast. The other good part, the good point that was made is Madison like, she doesn't want drama, but she invited Madison, LeCroy to the party. I mean, did you tell Austen that Madison was going to be there? You didn't invite me because you don't want drama, but you're inviting Madison LeCroy, who Austen actually has huge issues with. And she tells her, well, if we can't work it out, just let it go. It's stupid. And Madison goes, it is stupid, Venita. I'm like, okay. We are back to Austen's family home. They're eating these sandwiches outside, and Craig goes, this egg salad was an incredible move. Okay, man. Craig says, do you need help moving anything? And they do. They need help, like a bed frame. So all of a sudden a U-Haul pulls up for Austen. We're putting the bed frame in there, which this part, I don't know if you guys, it was so sad because I'm like, my God, does Austen literally not have a bed frame? Like Austen, is in his 30s and he doesn't have a bed frame, and the dude makes money. Like, think about that. The dude has money and he's like, nah, bed frame. And the mom's doing the mom thing. We're like, please don't scratch the walls. I always take a chunk out of a wall when I move something. And Austen's like, yes, I'm finally going to have a dresser in my room. And that's when I was like, what? You don't even have a dresser in your room? He's like, hey, the only thing I don't have condoms in my room nor a dresser. All I have is this big old dong and 12 packs of Trop Hop everywhere. Then we get a moving montage, and he's like, I love this headboard. Shep's falling down. Craig says, moving sucks. Oh, mom is in the U-Haul and drops like this tub of mementos, and this doll falls out, and it's Teddy. It's Kyle's plush toy, and they have this like kind of beautiful moment where the mom's like, Kyle never let this thing go. Austen goes, coming home always put me at ease, and it will no longer be my go-to place. And it's slowly starting to sink in. Now, I get that. And these childhood memories can be so intense and beautiful and amazing, but also you are in your 30s, like I was like this when I was like 18, and then again, 22, and again, 22. And when my parents did sell their house and moved to Gilbert, Arizona, I feel like I'm about to give their address. I was, there was a thought of like, oh, that sucks. But I don't know. But I love that Austen, it really kind of shows he is a very sensitive person, but also doesn't know how to maneuver within that sensitivity. He still like actively hurts people, even though he's a sensitive person. There's a big group family hug, high fives to the guys. And Shep goes, well, I need to go get ice cream with my little nieces. And the mom gives the poetry book to Craig. And Austen says to his dad, this is poetic. Me pulling out of the house with the U-Haul for the last time. Like, it would have been poetic, Austen, when you graduated from college. It's not poetic now, deep into your 30s. Like, what are you talking about? This is poetic. Like, this shouldn't even be happening right now. Am I going crazy? So it's a sweet scene though. We get shots of houses. There's a Suburban with Shep pulls up to his sister's house. The little girls are like, hello. And there's like 3 cute little girls, Boo, Louisa, and Rosie. Shep's walking outside with them, and she's like, okay, thanks. I won't give him too much ice cream and sugar. And then the door slams. He's like, I'm going to get you whatever you want. We're going to have a good time. You guys smoke? Do you guys drink? What's up? You want pornography? And he's talking to the little girls. He's like, you don't have to be in a car seat anymore? That's cool. Because he's like, Taylor still does. Sorry. And then Shep's like, where are we going, girls? I don't know. And they're like, yeah, we know. And they're like little girls. And I mean, I kind of have a little bit of this experience with my niece and nephew when they were much younger, and it is really cool. And like, I don't know, it is one of the coolest things about family is watching a family member have kids and then getting to give those kids money and try to impress them. And Shep's like, well, how have y'all been doing? Is school good? And the one girl's like, I know how to spell house. He's like, all right, do it for me. She's like, H-O-U-S, house. And I'm like, you fucking dummy, dude. That is not how you spell house. Like, I knew it. I don't know if you guys knew it immediately. I knew it immediately because there's an E on the end. I just learned that recently because it's a tricky word, but I know that girl totally fucked up. And he laughs. And he goes, I see my nieces once every 3 months. The coolest part about these little spawns unfold in front of you. And then the one girl's talking about that she knows what an onomatopoeia is. And I'm like, I don't fucking know. And he's like, how do you know this stuff? And the girl's like, we go to school and pay attention. And then Shep's like, I got kicked out of school once because I was a bad little boy. And then the one girl, I think, was told to ask this, because I can't imagine a little girl wanting to, like, she's like, how has little Craig and Taylor been? And Shep's like, really good. Taylor's a big dummy. No. He's like, Taylor's with little Craig. And he's like, I love that dog so much. And it's another really kind of interesting tell of, like, he'll always be like, little Craig, I love him to death. It's like my son. I love him. Taylor's cool. I mean, she's hit or miss depending on the day. Like, I was reading Shep's book, and he does that too. Of like, there's like a whole section about little Craig. So we cut to Olivia's house now. And we cut to Taylor. Taylor is with little Craig walking the dog, Shep's dog. I like that she's kind of an unofficial dog walker. We cut to Olivia's house. All of a sudden they're there. They hug. Little Craig is prancing around the house. And they're like, oh, you look so cute. You do too. That thing that girls always do. They compliment each other's looks. And Taylor's like, I'm excited for the party, Olivia. And Olivia's like, I know. And then she's like, how are things going with Austen, Olivia? And she's like, we had our first one-on-one dinner finally. And Taylor's like, did you define the relationship? And we have a flashback to, I want to take it slow. And Olivia back in this scene goes, oh, absolutely. There is no definition. And Taylor's like, do y'all think, oh no. Then Olivia goes, do y'all think you and Shep are on the same page for the future? And Taylor goes, yeah, he says he really doesn't see marriage in the cards for him. And the thought of burping a baby at 3 a.m. doesn't really sound like something that he wants to do. And Taylor's like, I hope that changes selfishly. Yeah, real selfish. Like, that's not selfish, Taylor. It's like, you want to have a baby. Like, that's not selfish. These are real wants and needs. But I love, like, I don't even know if I want to say to Shep's credit, but I do want to say Shep seems pretty upfront about not wanting any of these things. So there is that. And if somebody makes that decision for themselves, I do, though, sometimes think that it can get relied on a little bit too heavily with men of like, well, I told you I was a dick. I told you. So if I'm a dick, I told you. Like, I literally told you I'm a dick. Like, just because you tell somebody something doesn't give you a pass then to be that way or to do that thing for the rest of your life. Like, I told you I fart in public. I just do it. I do. I told you, because the normal person would be like, well, don't fart in public. Okay. And I'm like, well, I'll try. Like, Shep's like, nope, don't want kids, don't want to get married. And so, Taylor goes, yeah, if it was a 32-year-old guy figuring this all out, that'd be great. But he's a 42-year-old man who has been through this with his brother and sisters having kids. And I just want to know, where was the disconnect? What happened to you? That's a very telling line from Taylor. They pull up to the ice cream shop with the kids in the Shep scene. And Shep is smiling with the kids. They're taking the orders and, they're like, hey, and he's like, hey, on top of the ice cream, do you all want a pint to take home? I like, he's like truly loading them up. Hey, do you have any like calculators back there? Do you want like a computer? What do you have? He goes, oh, I want to take a bite of this. And he takes one of the used little ice cream spoons. And they're like, dude, uncle, it's used. It says used. It's in big, bold black letters, the little girl says. And he's like, well, I'm taller. You're at eye level with that thing. So I couldn't see that. And we all know you get the spoons from the lady or the guy that's working there. You have to ask. They don't just put the spoons out willy-nilly so we can all have as much as we want. You have to ask permission so they can make you feel guilty about getting more than one spoon. That's how it always was with me. Like, can I get 5 spoons? Dude, that's why some of those back pre-pandemic, I thought yogurt shops must have been hit the worst with the pandemic, because I remember I would go into like a yogurt shop, as one does, and they would have the little serving cups out there. Like, they were stupid. And, you could take one, but then you would get to hold on to that little cup. And I would just like keep like hitting it and seeing how tall I could make it in the little cup. And so then you've had like half of a cup of yogurt already, even before you buy that. Little tip from me to you. I don't think a lot of yogurt shops probably exist anymore. Good talk. He goes, being a fun uncle starts with gifts. You have to buy their allegiance. And damn, that is the truth. And the kids are asking Shep, did you have good grades when you were little? And he's like, I did. The teacher's comments about me were funny. One was, Shep thinks he can get by on charm and charm alone. The fact is, though, he doesn't have that much charm. And then Shep goes, I'm not perfect. And then the little girl goes, is that your excuse for everything? Boom. Ba, ba, na, ba. You just got burned by a 5-year-old Shep. You are an old man that doesn't know how to grow up. That's not a good song, you guys. We cut back to Taylor. Oh, yeah. He goes, I'm too old for change, girls. Cut back to Taylor. And she goes, well, how are you and Shep doing? And she's like, I'm very happy, but our trust was breached over a year ago. And we saw the girl that he cheated with at a place, and the girl was there, and I see her and I'm triggered. And Shep goes, Taylor, you got to stop. That was a long time ago. And I think that's another thing with guys. I'm not blaming it all on Shep, but a lot of guys are like, dude, I'm over it. You get over it. And it's like, well, you're the one that cheated. Like, you did something bad. And it is frustrating when somebody doesn't get over the thing that you did to them, because you're so frustrated because you're like, I've sincerely moved on. And you're like, well, yeah, you're not the one that was hurt. You're just hurt that the reaction is lasting as long as it has. I was thinking about this too, because I'm like, I've been in there. I probably said shit like this. Well, no, I haven't said shit like this, but I have been like, come on, get over it already. Not in regards to me cheating, but never mind. So, talking head, Taylor goes, I wouldn't consider myself a jealous person unless you cross me. And here we are. Taylor tells Olivia, if something like that happens again, I'm out. I will calmly step away and say, sorry, you are the way you are. Good luck sleeping at night and knowing who you really are. Knowing you are who you are. And I'm like, damn, is that what that just happened potentially? That's dark. Because at the end of the day, we know we're fallible creatures, right? So at the end of the day, when Shep does go to sleep, he can only bullshit himself for so long, right? Us guys can only bullshit ourselves for so long. Eventually you do, when you, right before you go back to sleep at night or go to, you're like, oh shit, I did do that. Oh shit. Oh shit. That stuff will haunt you. It'll come back and haunt you. So we cut to, we're setting up for the party, the big oyster shucking party. We see Flowers. Olivia's mom, Robin, is there. She says, hey to Tom, the bartender. Don't know why he got a name, because doesn't play any part of the role. Like, it's like Tom, bartender. And she's like, all right, looking great. We meet, we see Olivia's dad, Gary. By the way, the rumors, so Sophie said on Monday's show, is that the parents supposedly paid to get her on Southern Charm, Olivia, but I don't know if that's true, because who would you pay? Bravo doesn't take bribes. So you would be paying the production company, and Whitney's part of that production company. So is that what is being accused, that Whitney and the other producers of Southern Charm are taking under the table bribes? At this point, I feel like the producers would have to beg people to get on Southern Charm. Like, I don't think it's like something people are like leaping to do. So we cut to Olivia getting her makeup on, comes outside. She's like, oh, wow, this is so cool. I'm excited. We see oyster shooters. I love an oyster shooter, you guys. Have you ever had one? Oyster, vodka, a little cocktail sauce. It is she's my mom is definitely the perfect host. She's the perfect Southern belle, all sorts of parties she hosts. There's not many occasions that my mom doesn't want to host a party for. We cut to Austen in his bathroom mirror, shaving carefully. We cut to John Pringle. He's back. He's putting on a blue shirt, which, John Pringle must just like, I was like, Pringle's going to have to like get into a fight at this party just to like prove his worth. He takes off his shirt to show his abs. So I was like, he's trying to show us right now, because like, this shirt isn't going to work. And he's like trying to show the camera, look, still got the abs. We cut to Leva talking to her dog or her kid, I don't know. And she goes, I need to text the girls and see what they're wearing, which is such a basic girl thing. Then we see Naomie getting ready. Then we see Craig putting product in his hair, and he looks all satisfied. Like, dude, if I was fucking had the looks of Craig, I would be satisfied all the time too. Like, it's got to be pretty nice to put a little hair gel in and go, damn, still got it. Like, that's amazing. We cut to Shep and Taylor, and she's in a lemon dress, and she's like, you're like a lemon car. You have to return because it's broken. Shakespeare, you guys. And that's not, it's like Romeo and Juliet. We cut to Venita not getting ready because she wasn't invited. And she's like to her dog, Charles, you want to help me open all these PR packages? And then, you guys, all of a sudden, out of the blue, I thought he was gone from my life forever. We get Kathryn and Chubbs. Chubbs, of course, is Caleb, but it's spelled Chleb. My dyslexia has now turned that into Chubbs. So Kathryn and Chubbs. And the thing is, Chubbs shouldn't be there because they broke up. And so all of a sudden, there's talking head, Kathryn goes, yes, Caleb and I got back together. And we see a flashback to 2 days ago at a dinner. He's like, I want to come home. And then he's like, he does this biting motion, like, Chubbs does like this biting motion. I'm like, calm down. You're in public, Chubbs. Like, stop. And Kathryn's like, here's our fresh start. In the talking head, Kathryn lets us know that there's slim pickings in Charleston. So this is the closest to a normal relationship she's ever had. So she's decided to give it another go. We cut to the party. People are arriving. John Pringle arrives. He wants as much camera time as he can possibly get. There's a grab a bevy station. It says grab a bevy. Marcie, Shep's cousin, and her husband are there. Remember, Marcie's the pregnant one. We see Shep and Taylor walking, and Taylor's in the lemon dress that he made fun of, but Shep is also in a matching lemon shirt, a button-up shirt, and shorts. Then Chubbs and Kathryn come in, hugs Olivia in a talking head. Olivia's like, I guess I'm not really surprised that they're back together. I guess she can go back and forth and like, I guess Caleb's one of those. I guess she's just kind of like, it was something about like, I guess Kathryn has a hard time making decisions, and I guess Caleb's one of those. Then Austen comes in. Olivia goes like, hey to Austen. And he's like, oh, you're wearing, like, Austen's wearing these like kind of pink, like pink, I don't know, red, pink pants. And like, she's like, oh, you and your goofy pants. I will say this, the Southern Charm guys, I don't know if this is just Charleston in general, loves a good, funny outfit. I mean, it's not funny to us, but they think it's funny, So Craig comes in, and Craig looks like an 80s college bully. Like, he has the sweater over. He's like, yeah, it's like tied and just very preppy. And Shep says, hey to everybody. Taylor's like, and John Pringle's like, bro, all right. He shakes hands. He's like, my boy, all right. And then Pringle tells Austen, you got a big swinging dick with those pink pants. I would kill for people to be like, you got a big swinging dick in those jeans. You got a big swinging dick in those basketball shorts that you always wear, Ryan. And that, by the way, for new listeners, I've always tried to start a rumor that my manhood is of legend. It's huge. Like, please, it's like a python, like a smaller python, but like in the python family, like just a newly born python. Leva, you guys, is there, and guess who she's with? Her husband. I was talking with this with Ronnie with Watch What Crappens on their episode a long time ago, or a couple weeks ago, and he thought that they had split up, but we finally see her husband. It was like, what? And we don't see him talk, so he must have been like, I don't talk on camera anymore. Shep immediately is with the oysters, and he's like, okay, all right. And she's like, that's the spicy sauce, and that's the minuet. And he's like, I like spicy, but I also like minuet. And Shep is just shoving the oysters in his face. And then he's like throwing the shells. He's like, back where they belong, in the water, in the sea. Kathryn says to Austen, goes, you look very nautical. Madison all of a sudden walks in, you guys, and Austen goes, oh shit. And he looks pissed. And Madison always just strolls into things like not a care in the world. Like, hey, everybody. Woo! Madison never seems stressed. I will give her that. Like, I am more like Austen than Madison. I stress out about everything. Madison's like, woo. And Madison goes, hey, John Pringle. And then Austen's like, ugh. Austen's talking to Kathryn, trying to act like, he's paying attention to. He's like, okay, Kathryn, what have you been up to this week? And he's like, Chubbs and I got back together. And he's like, when did that happen? And she's like, day before. And then they do this thing where she keeps talking, but they lower the voice, and you can just see him like thinking about Madison being there. And Madison comes up, and Kathryn goes, oh my God, you look like Jessica Simpson. And Madison's like, oh my God, that country. And then Austen's like, well, I'm going to get my drink and I'm going to make an exit, like all awkward because Madison's there. And Madison's like, okay, so weird. Okay. And Kathryn goes, I thought you guys were still friends. And Madison's like, I thought so. And then Shep and Craig go, Austen and Craig, Austen pulls Craig aside, and he's like, why is Madison here after all the shit I told Olivia? And we get a flashback to their date of all the shit that he was talking about Madison to Olivia, which is just not what you do on a date. And she's like, Austin's like, why would you want this person around? You're not going to be friends with my ex, he says in a talking head. We come back from break. It's the oyster roast. And Shep's like, whoa. He's like hovering over the pool. He's like, look at these shoes. These shoes are waterproof, actually, you guys. And then he goes, actually, I'm waterproof. And I was like, how much has Shep had to drink? Is Shep on mushrooms? So Naomie sees Craig and goes, you look so nautical. Everybody looks so nautical. And then Whitney and Miss Patricia come in, Whitney's mom. And Whitney goes, are you Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard to Austen? Whitney, like I said, of course, brought Miss Patricia. And Naomie is happy as a clam. I love her. Oh, yeah. Naomi's happy as a clam, she says. And Kathryn is like, ugh, Naomie's here. Like, ugh, I do like her hat, though. And her nose is fine. And I do like the hat. And she has a great tan. And I don't. She's saying this in a talking head. Miss Patricia says, I want a run of the, I don't even know what I wrote there. You guys, I want a run of the sock. Sometimes these notes, I'm just typing so it's just like little fingers of fury. Chubbs is talking. Chubbs is talking to one of the guests there, and he goes, "Hey, my name's Caleb, but it's spelled like Chleb, Cheleb." And I was like, oh my God, he's aware that his name is like messed up. And then he lets us know, and this is fascinating for Caleb and Chubb lovers. His name means bread in Russian. Bread. And then the lady's like, well, where are you from? And he's like, Mount Pleasant. And they're like, funny one, Chubbs. Craig hugs Madison, and she says, oh, we're hugging now? And Craig's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, with the look, I'm getting back to my college days. And then Madison's like, no, it's because you have a good girl right now that dresses you, referring to Paige. And he's like, no, I did this by myself. Now, Austen is bitching to Naomie. He's like, you invite my ex-girlfriend? I'm like, what? Still in regards to Olivia. Naomie says, well, at my house, you guys were cool. And we get a flashback to that party where they were fine. And she's like, now you're traumatized because she invited her here? It's fine, Naomie says. Whitney is talking to the parents, Olivia's parents, like, how long have you guys lived here? And they're like, 4 years. We love it. What's not? And Miss Patricia's like, what's not to like? And they're like, well, where are you from? How long have you been here? She's like, well, I was in New York for many years. And then I moved here. And then when there was 2 major hurricanes in New York, the worst ones ever. It's worse weather out in New York than it is here. And now all my friends think I'm a genius, and they're moving from New York to here, which, by the way, that's the show I want to see. I want to see Miss Patricia and her New York friends that all moved to Charleston. At this point, we see this little doggy, and Allison's like, oh, it's like a pot-bellied pig. Big dick for how small of a dog it is. And Taylor's like, that's not a dick, you idiot. It's a nipple. And he's like, oh. Because then I was just like, what is, I wonder if like Austen has like thought all his life that guys' nipples are dicks. He's like, whoa, you got big sausage dicks on your chest. Never mind. So we cut to John. These are really good recaps, you guys. I gotta say, these are gold. We cut to Pringle talking to Craig, and he's like, can I be on the show more? He's like talking, and Pringle goes, I heard you haven't congratulated Madison on her engagement, Austen. And Kathryn goes, Austen, just congratulate her. It doesn't matter. Be the bigger person here. Marcie even says congrats, and Marcie goes, just say congrats to her and walk away. In a talking head, Austen's like, there were real feelings there, and once she got engaged, it hit me. It really hurt, and I didn't know it would hurt that much. We all of us knew. Your friends knew. They're all saying it. We knew. The audience, we all knew. Now Madison and Olivia are talking, and all the guys are watching, and Pringle says, should we take over a tray of shots for the girls? And Austen's like, I'm not doing that. Austen's like, well, the engagement felt like a big final fuck you that she didn't tell me she got engaged. We cut to the girls talking, and Madison goes, I know you didn't invite Venita, Olivia. And Olivia goes, well, I didn't uninvite her. I just didn't invite her. And she's like, that's why I told her it would seem kind of fake. I wasn't comfortable at her garden party, and I wouldn't feel comfortable if she was here acting like things were fine when they're not. Now, there is a tiny leg to stand on here, but very tiny, because you're also doing a show called Southern Charm. You don't want to leave people out. This is remember, this is a show based around drama, and to not have her there, that's weird. So John Pringle comes in, and he's coming in to lighten the mood with a tray of shots. Craig says to Austen, hey, bro, should we shotgun a beer? Like, I love that's how guys handle things. Should we shotgun a beer, bro? And Austin's like, yes. And they're popping like Bud Light and Coors Light cans. And they're like, do you have a key, or like, do you have it? And then Craig's like, do you have your Amex to pop it? And he's like, I have my Amex. Classic. Then we cut to Pringle and Taylor, and they're cheersing or something. And Pringle goes, Taylor, you're the secret love of my life. By the way, maybe John Pringle could be with Taylor. John Pringle seems like a nice guy. The Austen and Craig contingent, they shotgun their beer. We see the girls do their shot, and the guys are like, so cold, the beer, so cold. Good work, good work. Then we see some guy telling Kathryn that he likes her hat. I think that's Naomie's dad. Then Austen says, well, I should go talk to Olivia about what the fuck is going on. I think in regards to inviting Madison. And I'm like, look at you, Mr. Big Dick, in your pink pants. Venita and Naomie, Leva and Naomie take a pic and go, we're so cute. And then Austen is, Olivia, hey, could I talk to you? And she's like, what the hell? Like, with Madison, I'm sitting here watching the five of y'all like talk, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like slighted. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is she doing here? And she's like, why do you care? And he's like, no woman I'm interested in will be friends with her. And Olivia's like, we aren't friends. Why do you think we're friends? This is where we have a disconnect. I just want to be decent. And a talking head, she's like, it's the Southern thing to do. I was invited to her party. She's invited to mine. And then this is why girls are always so good. Like they just kind of just point blank say things she like that are correct. She goes, I am waiting for the day for you not to care about her. She is so present in our conversations. Our date night the other night, I mean, all we talked about was her, the appetizer through the dinner, talking about her. And we get a flashback of Austen going, oh, anything that you say, well, she'll use it as ammunition and, just further dig after dig. And it's like, oh my God, let's stop beating a dead horse. Right. And Naomi's like, please. And then in a talking head, Naomie goes, Olivia says, Austen just got done telling me, let's take it slow. And now you're telling me who I can't invite to my party? That's not going to fly with me. And I love that. And we cut to Madison's going, okay, anyways, I'm out of here. Like, not a care in the world. Everybody's eating oysters. Austen says, fuck, Olivia's driving me crazy. Austen says, he's talking to Craig again now separately. And Austen's like, this is Charleston, man. It's just crazy. And Craig's like, yep. Both of our fucking exes are here, man. But that's Charleston. Exes are everywhere. It's a never-ending cycle of misery. And I was like, just 2 weeks ago, you were like, Paige, come on down. It's a beautiful spot, beautiful area. And have fun, Paige. Craig goes, Olivia's parents are really nice, though. And Austin's like, yeah, her parents are awesome. They're not assholes like their daughter. We cut to Chubbs talking to Naomie, and he's like, hey, 6 years ago, I was at your house. She's like, yeah, totally. And a talking head, Chubbs lets us know. She goes, I've known Naomie longer than I've known Kathryn. And, but Kathryn, if Kathryn holds grudges, I have to have that grudge as her man, and it sucks because I don't get salty with anyone. I never have, but she's salty with everyone. And then Naomie goes, hey, how are you and Kathryn? And he's like, hard to talk about that. We cut to Pringle and Kathryn saying, yeah, me and Naomie don't like each other. Cut back to Chubbs and Naomie, and Chubbs is like, yeah, I'm just over all. It's always drama with Kathryn, which is like, you just said you had a united front and you're throwing her under the bus immediately. Naomie says, oh my God, you're feeling overwhelmed. She's like, I'm not a shallow person, Chubb says, but I am a simple person, which is like, oh my God, Chubbs is like the Forrest Gump of Charleston. He's like, I am not a smart man, but I do know what love is. My name is Chubbs Gump, and I was running. Instead of Jenny, it's like, Kathryn, you're just so smart, Kathryn. Sorry. I used to love the movie Forrest Gump. Anyways, he goes, I'm a simple person, Chubbs. All my friends are simple. We don't do the drama thing. But when she comes home, she does the drama thing. And I'll listen to her for a while, but then I'll turn on ESPN and just tune her out. I've never seen somebody be this honest and this dumb on camera, like to actually say this shit to Naomie. And Naomie's like, why are you dating her then? And he goes, she's my girl. Like, that's so Forrest. She's my girl. Because Kathryn's my girl. Naomie and I are talking. And goes, is this a cry for help? I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And Naomie says, this is not how a relationship is supposed to work, Chubbs. And you seem like you're going through some shit. And he's like, yeah, we definitely did. And, I felt that when we broke up. And then Naomie's like, is Kathryn going to be upset we spoke? And he's like, I don't know. And we all like, yeah. Kathryn sees them talking. And Naomie goes, hey, just being real and honest with you, you don't need to deal with a narcissist, someone so toxic, which is pretty brutal language. And anyways, Kathryn goes, Chubbs, or Caleb, Chubbs. And John Pringle's, and Kathryn's like, he's ignoring us, John Pringle. And Pringle's like, no, I just don't think he's ignoring. I just don't think he can hear either of us. But by the way, also that Chubbs just told us he tunes her out. So like in Chubbs's head, he's like just hearing ESPN instead of Kathryn. We cut to Chubbs going, I'm a person here that was put on this earth that can break through her walls. And Naomie's like, are you shitting me? You have a savior complex? No one can do that. And he goes, you'll see. Like, I've never seen somebody admit point blank, like, yeah, savior complex. Yep. Oh, is that what it's called? Cool. Yeah, that's what I have. And Naomie's like, yeah, I guess we will see. Naomie goes to Leva. She goes, I just had a real interesting conversation with Chubbs, and he doesn't like Kathryn. And Leva goes, what? He doesn't seem to like Kathryn. We cut to Chubbs pulling Kathryn aside and goes, Naomie's talking shit about you. Like, what? What? That was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. No, that's not true. I've seen way weirder things, but for this episode. And he's like, yeah, she was trying to manipulate me in our conversation. And I'm so sorry she said that word about you, manipulate. We cut to Naomie talking to Leva. And Leva's like, it's also not cool on his part. Why is he talking to you about it? And then we go back to Kathryn, and Kathryn Chubbs goes, well, how did it end? Kathryn's very eerily calm. And he goes, me not saying what she wanted to hear. So we ended it. And then Kathryn's like, you ready to go? And Chubbs is like, yeah, we can go. And Naomie goes to Leva, goes, if Lamar, your husband, said that shit about you, I would gut him. And Leva's like, Lamar's not allowed to speak on the show this year. It's like, I would gut him. And Leva's like, yeah, you would. And then we get Kathryn hugging people goodbye. And Chubbs is like, I don't want to go through life. Oh, no. Leva says Chubbs doesn't go through life thinking people are out for him, but Kathryn does. And if you give out info, it's super messy. It's grounds for war, she says in a talking head in relation to what just happened. And that's the end of the episode. Next episode, we see Kathryn and Austen getting manicures together. Little Craig is talking, like Shep's talking to Miss Patricia, and Miss Patricia wants her dog to marry Little Craig. And I'm like, well, somebody in Shep's family will get married at least. Then, and by the way, if we're honestly though, if we seriously are at a dog wedding in this show, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not out. That's crazy. Then we see a scene with Venita of talking to her mom, saying like, I just remember dad left and he left one night, didn't come back home, and that's it. And the mom's like, I'm not going to talk to you about your daddy. And I'm like, damn, that's intense. And then we have Chubbs talking to his mom, goes, what if me and Kathryn do couples therapy and it doesn't work? And the mom's like, you get away from that girl then. And then we see Craig and Naomie on a separate lunch thing. And he's like, yeah, I don't think it's appropriate to hang out just yet. And then we're like, But also, I don't think it's appropriate to hang out yet. You're literally in a scene where you're hanging out by yourselves. Anywho, you guys, this was our episode. What a gigantor episode. Almost 2 hours. It's like I give. If you like what I'm giving, please give 5 stars to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you don't like me, just please ignore what I just said. And I love you and peace be with you. From me, Chubbs, and all the... I'd like to say I love you guys. It's me, Chubbs. I remember, guys, I'll probably take off Wednesday, but I'll see you bright and early on Thursday. Pray for my mom, or send good vibes, or any magical thinking that you can do. Love ya. Bye.